So what are you doing back? Well, I sat back and thought about the things we used to do. It really meant a lot to me. You mean a lot to me. I really mean that much to you? Girl, you know it's true. Psh, psh, psh. Hey guys, how are y'all tonight? Tonight we are talking about the 2023 documentary Milli Vanilli about the German pop duo Milli Vanilli from the late 80s, early 90s. Now this film was produced by MTV Studios, directed by Luke Corin, I believe. This originally premiered over the summer at the Tribeca Film Festival, and it's released to streaming on Paramount Plus and was it Showtime or just Paramount Plus on October 24th. Now, prior to this, I was very young when all this happened. I knew about the lip syncing scandal and whatnot. Maybe from watching, I remember that VH1 did a episode of them on their Behind the Music special, and I researched for that. I didn't know it was the first episode, which I remember seeing that, I think, back in the 90s. And they were also profiled on VH1's list of the 100 greatest shocking moments in rock and roll special, I think back in 2001. I remember their being on the list. Now with Milli Vanilli, I love their music. My favorite song would be Girl, You Know It's True. Girl, you know it's true. Uh, ooh, 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 I love you. And I also love their song, Baby Don't Forget My Number. Now, I watched it twice, and I really loved and enjoyed this documentary. I saw that it was coming out, and my mom actually texted me and told me to check it out as well. Then I watched it a second time, showing it to my good friend. So Milli Vanilli consisted of two guys, Rob Politis and Fab Morvan, I believe. Fabrice. I really like that name. I would use that name. I had a new cat. Got another cat or something. But it pretty much tells their story, how they're growing up, how they met, and how they got involved with this producer, Frank Farian, who previously created a group called Bonnie M. I guess they were really popular in Europe. And the music sounded pretty good. And they had the song, Sunny. Yesterday my life was filled with rain. So after seeing this, I added that to my playlist. Now, I have heard that song in the past, but it was by a different artist other than Bonnie M. I'm not sure who the other artist was. I have to look it up. But just learning about the backstory in this film. They did interviews with a lot of the industry executives from different record companies. The Arista Records, who released the US version, which was called Girl, You Know It's True in 1989. And the first, I guess, the European edition was released in 1988, and that was called All or Nothing. So I believe they interviewed some executives and producers from that as well. Now, they also interviewed Timbaland, who's a well-known producer, Diane Warren. She's a loved, respected songwriter. She's written so many hits, and she actually wrote Blame It on the Rain, and she talked about how that was like the perfect follow-up to Girl, You Know It's True, because they just like went hand in hand. And we heard from the real singers, the twin sisters, so I'm sorry I didn't get their names. I believe they did the backup vocals and the ooh, 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 I love you. And they interviewed Brad Howard, who is a lead singer, and Charles Shaw, which I enjoyed hearing from him, and I recognized his voice. I believe he was like the lead rapper. And I think he did the spoken word intro, which I did at the top of my video. I'm not sure who the female voice was, but if anybody knows, please let me know. But Frank Farian, he declined to be interviewed for this documentary. He's still alive. So yeah, and I think the scandal mostly came from, they had a concert with was it like the MTV's tour, which I was surprised with. Like that must have been before my time because I'd never heard of it, so that was interesting. And their tape ended up skipping, so that happened. And then the big thing was when they were nominated for Best New Artists at the 32nd Grammy Awards. And it was nice seeing them talk about the other artists who were nominated and for that category, which was Soul to Soul. Back to life, back to reality. However do you want it? However do you need it? However do you want it? Also nominated were the Indigo Girls, who off the top of my head, I'm not too familiar with their music, but I have heard of them. And Tone Loc, Funky Cole Medina. And also Nina Cherry, which I was watching I really just came knowing of her last year. I was watching TV One's Unsung series. I believe they were talking about artists of the 80s. And the big hit she had what's the name of it? Buffalo Stance. We always hang in the Buffalo Stance. We do the dive in the time of chance. I give you love, baby, not romance. Which I really love that song. And was that it? And Milli Vanilli won. And there was like all this uproar when they were nominated from a Grammy, and they were signed with Arista, which Clive Davis was the head of it. So pretty much this was like, I guess, an open secret or closed secret among like a lot of the big wigs and the executives, but they won the Grammys. And then later on that year, the scandal came out. They gave back their Grammy, or it was revoked. The only time that's ever happened in history. And so it just came crashing down. And they talked after that, I think Rob and Fab, they did team up and release a single or an album under their own names, which I haven't listened to the song or video in its entirety, but it sounded pretty good. And I believe it's called We Can Get It On. I have the video added to my YouTube playlist, and I couldn't find the song on streaming services, so. Yeah. And also the producer, Frank Farian, released, I guess, what was supposed to be the second album under the name The Real Milli Vanilli. But the Rob and Fab album, pretty much, I guess people weren't really feeling it, or they had moved on. I believe that only sold 2,000 copies worldwide, which is not good. And I forgot to mention that the U.S. album release of Girl Know You True sold like 30 million copies. That's amazing, like for a first album. And they did talk about how that's like Michael Jackson numbers. Michael Jackson's little autograph back there. But so pretty much after that, I think, was it Rob kind of got involved heavy in drugs and alcohol, and believe he ended up, I was confused. I didn't know if he had overdosed or was it suicide. On something I saw on VH1, it said he committed suicide. So, but on this, they let you to believe it was an overdose. So rest in peace to him. But what I took away from this is just a shame that they basically got thrown under the bus when you had all these people behind the scenes who, I won't mention any names, but they really, their careers continued to go in and they made money off of this. But I guess the guys at the forefront pretty much got thrown under the bus and hated on and everything. But I was happy to see that Fab, that he was able to come out on the other side, and it was a triumph. I think he ended up meeting his partner and they have kids, and so I'm just glad that everything worked out in the end for him and that he came out on the other side of this. And he does have a beautiful voice. They showed a clip of him on the RuPaul show back in the 90s. And this film ended with him performing live, singing "Blame It on the Rain," which I know that song, but I don't know the lyrics, but it was really beautiful hearing him sing it. And that was the end of this documentary. So let me know what you guys think of this documentary. Were you around Were you a Milli Vanilli fan back in the day? Like I said, I was very young, but did you buy the album? Did you know they were lip syncing? What did you think about the scandal? Please comment and like and let me know what you thought of it all. All right, you guys, I'm Jay. This is the J Zone. You can find me on Instagram at the J Zone 87, THAJAYZONE 87. Stay tuned for coming videos very soon. The time I met Michael Jackson, story time, and my kidney transplant journey. All right, you guys, take care.